Hi, I'm Kara Barnard, music instructor, creator of the Silver Strings Dulcimer program, and co-owner of the Weed Patch Music Company in Nashville, Indiana. And you and I are going to get your mountain dulcimers tuned up. The most popular tuning used for the mountain dulcimer is the DAD tuning. The fancy name for this tuning is Mixolydian mode. Before we get into the details of how to tune your instrument, I'm going to simply play each string for my advanced players so they can match their strings to these pitches. And don't worry, beginners, I'm going to break this all down for you in just a second. Here's my low bass string. In standard tuning, it is the string that it's the farthest away from my belly. This is a low D. Here's my middle string A. Here's my high melody string D. Okay. All right, beginners, let's you and I get started. When you tighten a string, the pitch is going to go up, okay? When you loosen a string, the pitch is going to drop, all right? Let me see if I can find the right tuner to show you what I mean by this. There we go. Hear that go down? I tighten it, and it comes back up. Always, always, always pick the string you're tuning and listen for the pitch to change as you're turning the tuning peg. This is the only way you're going to make sure that you're actually turning the right tuning peg. This is a very common mistake that everyone makes from time to time, regardless of how advanced you are. You'll probably see me do it while we're doing this video. Okay, I'm going to randomly detune this instrument now. All right, that's pretty out of tune. All right, match the pitch of your D bass string to the D below middle C on the piano. You can also match your bass string to the D string of a tuned guitar. If you don't have access to another instrument, a pitch pipe will do the job. I'm going to use the guitar I've got here because I know I just tuned it up, and I'm going to listen to the D string there. That's what my bass string D should sound like. And it's too high. Now if you can actually hum the correct pitches of these notes that you're matching, it'll help you. A lot of times you'll hear it in your voice before you hear the change in your strings. So my voice dropped. What that means is this bass string is too high, I gotta lower it. And again, I'm listening to that pitch change as I change it. Okay, I think that we've got that in tune. Now that I've got my bass string in tune, I'm going to fret it on the 4th fret. I need to match my middle string to this A note. Here's my middle string now. It's a little bit too low. So I need to raise that middle string up. There we go. There we go. All right, now you're going to notice a tonal difference between those two strings. We have two different kinds of strings on a dulcimer. You have what is referred to as a plain string, P-L-A-I-N, which is a single wire, and then you have a wound string, which is a single wire with another string wrapped around it. And these produce very different tonal sounds. The tonal sound of a wound string is a little more muffled sounding, and a plain string is going to be brighter sounding. Okay, now that I have that middle string A in tune, I'm going to fret it on the 3rd fret, and I've got to match my melody string to this tone. There's my melody string. It's lower than it needs to be. So I need to raise it up by tightening it. I think I've got it now. Now some of you might have two melody strings. These are going to be identical. Let's listen to these because this is my sister's dulcimer. She's got two melody strings and she's got double bass strings, and we'll come back to that in a second too. All right. There's the one that I've got in tune. Here's the one right next to it. Sounds to me like it's a little bit higher than it needs to be. Okay, I think I've got them now. Okay. Now, if you have two bass strings, you'll have a low bass string, and right next to it, you'll have a higher D note, an octave up. That skinny string next to your bass string, right next to your bass string, should sound just like one of your melody strings. Ah, and here's what mine sounds like. Way too low. So I'm going to tighten that up until it sounds like my melody string. Okay? Okay, so now what I've ended up with is my low D bass string, and the skinny guy right next to him sounds just like him, but up an octave, right? Low D, high D, A in the middle, and then my melody string, D, and another D identical to it right next to it, okay? If you're a beginner, don't worry about the number of strings you have or don't have on your dulcimer. Every dulcimer should have at least 3 strings. We actually refer to this as having 3 courses. Sometimes the strings are doubled up, giving you 2 bass and 2 melody strings. It just kind of adds a chorused effect to your dulcimer. I personally only use 3 strings on my dulcimer. Though I have the ability to put 5 on there, I take it down to 3. Now let's talk just for a second about electronic tuners. There are many electronic tuners on the market, and most of them work just fine. Also, always remember to support your local music store. There are several different kinds of electronic tuners. My current favorite tuner is my Snark. It'll clip on the head of your tuner unless you have a scroll on the top. If you have a scroll, you can simply lay the tuner on top of your soundboard, sort of like this. Okay, just set it on there so it'll pick up the vibration. When using a Snark electronic tuner, your first job is to make sure the correct letter is showing up on the small screen. If you're trying to tune your D or A strings and another letter or note shows up on the screen, you need to first loosen or tighten your tuning peg to get the correct letter to appear. Once the correct letter is showing, you can continue to fine tune with it. There are 12 possible notes that can show up on the screen of most chromatic tuners. You might want to write these down at this point. They are A sharp, and for my younger students, a sharp sign looks like a hashtag. B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. As you read from left to right, the pitch of the notes go up. If you're trying to tune your D string and the letter E appears, you should loosen your string until the letter D appears. Then you can use the lights or the digital needle to fine tune. If you're trying to tune your A string and the letters G or G sharp appear, it's very likely you will need to tighten your string until the A letter appears. I hope this has been helpful to you. To find more out about my teaching program, my instruction books, the Silver Strings Dulcimer program, you can visit karasilverstrings.com, karabarnard.com, or visit the music store Weed Patch Music, downtown Nashville, Indiana. Thanks so much, folks.